What is up, people, and welcome back to the finale of my F1 2017 career mode here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's round 20 of Season 1, and it all comes down to this. We have three guys fighting for the championship. We have Kimi Räikkönen, Sebastian Vettel leading the way currently, and Lewis Hamilton as well. And of course, our season isn't over either. We are trying to hold on to P7 in the championship. But first of all, we are kicking things off with the practice sessions in the track acclimatization, coming down towards the line and getting the purple score on that one. So that is really, really good news for us for that. Of course, we are trying to get as many resource points as we possibly can, because we are going to be spending loads of them at the end of this race before Season 2, and try and get as many upgrades as we possibly can before the start of next season. There we go, doing the tyre wear test, getting a purple score on that one. The first time in quite a while we've actually got the purple score on that one. So it looks like I'm pretty good with tyre wear around this circuit. Then doing the fuel management, getting purple score on that one as well, which is another 50 resource points added to the bank, which will come very handy at the end of this race. And that ended FP1, unfortunately, way down the back of the field in 20th position. But like I always say, practice times, they do not matter. It all counts towards the qualifying session. Those are the lap times that matter, are the ones in the qualifying session. Here we are doing the qualifying run now, getting a purple score on that one as well, which is really, really good, setting a 140.519, so 2 whole seconds faster than we were in FP1. And then round through the final corner once again down towards the line, this time doing the race strategy, and it's another purple score. 50 points added to the bank, purple scores across the board. And we're going to be leaving these practice sessions very happy with a lot of resource points that the team are going to have to spend. And that ended the practice sessions, ended FP2, and we finished in P14 ahead of my teammate of Nico Hülkenberg. But can we replicate or even do better in the qualifying sessions? Let's find out as we head over to qualifying for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Here we are at the beautiful Yas Marina circuit, where qualifying is about to begin. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the action.
Here we go then, the start of the qualifying sessions at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as we come round the final corner now, down towards the line for our first lap here in Abu Dhabi. And there we go, 5th place at the moment. Not exactly the best of lap times. Unfortunately, Fernando Alonso is quicker than us. We are going to have to improve on this 140.6. We come through the final corner this time. 6 tenths up, 7 tenths up on our previous best lap time. Round the final corner once again, down towards the line for our second lap here in qualifying. Across the line, it's 7 tenths faster. It's good enough for P16 at the moment, but that is not safe. We are not safe at the moment. We're still in the drop zone as we come around the final corner once more. 8 tenths up this time around across the line, and that is good enough, I think, to get us into Q2. Yes, it is P13 at the end of the day. We're into Q2, and we are into the top 15 shootout. So really good qualifying session there for us. Into P13, unfortunately not beating my teammate, but we got into the top 15, and that is all that matters. Now, here we go in Q2, running it very, very wide on the exit of the penultimate corner, through the final corner now, down towards the line for our first lap. What is the time going to be good enough for? It's 7th place at the moment, a 138.996. The lap times are tumbling. Of course, it is going to be getting cooler around this circuit as the night falls. There we go, round the final corner once again, down towards the line, still currently in P7 right now, but whereabouts will that put us at the end of this qualifying session? It's P10. Look at that, just about getting into the top 10 shootout. They're just about getting into Q3 and beating my teammate of Nico Hülkenberg with a 138.608. But will we be able to improve on that in the top 10 shootout? Well, let's wait and see. Here we go in Q3 now, through the final corner once more and down towards the line. What is our first lap time going to be good enough for? It's not the best of lap times. It's a 139.148. So we know that we can improve on that lap time because we did a lot better in Q2 as we're coming through the final sector now, cutting the corner a little bit as we went under the hotel section. But right now we're only 3 tenths up on our previous best lap time through the penultimate corner, nice and tidy through there into the final one now, and it will be down across the line. But what will the lap time be good enough for here today at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? Is it good enough to improve on our position of P9? No, it's not, but still, P9 at the end of the day in this qualifying session is a fantastic result, and we can't be disheartened with that. So there we go, starting today's race at the moment from P9, but there could be a few penalties on the starting grid, so we may be able to move up a couple of positions. I'm not too sure just yet, but Valtteri Bottas is the pole man here today, beating his teammate Lewis Hamilton by 22 thousandths of a second. There's Kimi Räikkönen in third with Sebastian Vettel in fourth, then Daniel Ricciardo fifth, Max Verstappen in sixth with Felipe Massa seventh, Sergio Perez in ninth, myself in ninth place, and Romain Grosjean rounding out the top 10. So, what can we do from ninth position in today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? Let's find out as we head over to the race for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Alongside me for one final time this season, it's Anthony Davidson. What a year it's been, Ant. It's been an absolute pleasure. And now, how are you feeling ahead of Lights Out tonight?
Well, it's been a breathtaking year of F1 action, and there's one more sting in the tail to come here tonight, I reckon. We've been all around the world, but there's still everything to fight for, and what an occasion it is as well. There's a real sense of anticipation every time we come here to Abu Dhabi, and here's hoping it's a fitting end to a very special season.
Before we get into today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, though, let's take a look at the starting order. And lining up in pole position is Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, Sergio Perez alongside him on the front row of the grid in second place. It's myself moving up into third with Romain Grosjean in fourth. And looking further down the field, we have Kevin Magnussen in fifth, Alonso in sixth, Pascal Wehrlein down in seventh with Marcus Ericsson in eighth, Van Dorn in ninth, Kvyat 10th, Bottas down in 11th place with Kimi Räikkönen in 12th, and it's Hulkenberg 13th, Lance Stroll 14th, Sainz in 15th, Esteban Ocon 16th, Lewis Hamilton way down in 17th place with Felipe Massa 18th, and at the back of the grid, we have Sebastian Vettel, the championship leader, in 19th place with Daniel Ricciardo right at the back of the field. So, some grid penalties have promoted us up into P3 for today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So that is really, really big news here today, and hopefully we can use that to our advantage and maybe get our second podium of the season. But looking at the race strategy here today, it looks like it's going to be a fairly simple one, starting on the ultra soft tyres and pitting for a set of super softs, then another set of super softs later on in the race. We are going to be going with this strategy for today. The team under fueling me just a little bit, but I might change that just to give myself a little bit more fuel as the race goes on, which we do. So fueling the car a little bit heavier for the start, but that means we can run rich mix as the race goes on. But let's get into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix now. The lights are coming on for today's race. We go to 5 red lights for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and the season finale gets underway. It's a great start compared to Sergio Perez, who's on our left-hand side. Max Verstappen clean out in front, so we go around the outside of Sergio Perez. A little bit of contact, gets sort of forced out wide, and then banged once again by Sergio Perez. I think we went 3 wide down in towards turn 1, hence why Sergio Perez was running a little bit too wide through the exit for my liking, but unfortunately we have come out worse off, dropping down into P4, losing out to Romain Grosjean in today's race. But we'll see whether we can work our way back through the fields. We've got a McLaren and the other Haas of Kevin Magnussen battling, but it looks like the McLaren gets the job done on Kevin Magnussen. We're now going to be trying to hunt down Romain Grosjean once again to get back up into P3. So here we are, following in the slipstream of that Haas driver all the way down in towards this left-hander, braking very late compared to Romain Grosjean. So close between the two of us, going for the switchback maneuver on Romain Grosjean, and what a move that was, the switchback maneuver through the chicane, and that's going to help us to get the job done. Better exit, greater straight line speed, and there we go, moving up back onto the podium and hunting down Sergio Perez, who is running in P2. So it looks like, I think that was Valtteri Bottas making up a bit of ground in the background. They're getting past the McLaren and the guy behind him, which I believe was a Sauber driver. We still have Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen right to my tail, so we'll be looking to try and defend from those guys. But now looking further back through the field, we've got Kimi Räikkönen going side by side with Esteban Ocon, not Sergio Perez. So unfortunately the graphic is wrong there in the top left hand corner of your screens, but it is in fact Esteban Ocon that he is going side by side with as they go underneath the hotel section in towards the final 2 corners. Kimi Räikkönen momentarily ahead of Esteban Ocon right now to go through the penultimate corner, but Esteban Ocon comes back at him round the outside into the final corner of the first lap of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Looks like Kimi Räikkönen has got the inside line. Can he get the greater straight line speed down in towards turn 1? Yes, he does. And there we go, Kimi Räikkönen moves up into P14. And although this isn't actually for any positions at the moment in the championship, it just helps him. Of course, Kimi Räikkönen needs to win today's race in order to be crowned the world champions. We're watching a replay of our start. So yeah, we did go 3 wide down in towards turn 1. Unfortunately, just very tight between the 3 of us through the exit of turn 1, and that is why I got sort of forced out wide and unfortunately losing those positions as we're now watching the battle unfold between Nico Hulkenberg, my teammate, and Kimi Räikkönen in P14. So it looks like Kimi Räikkönen still trying to make up ground in today's race. We have Kimi Räikkönen in P14. Lewis Hamilton is a little bit further back at the moment. He's also on 0 points in today's race as well. And Sebastian Vettel right at the back of the field. So this is the best chance that Kimi Räikkönen is going to have to move himself up in the championship. Of course, he does need to get past a lot more drivers. He needs to win today's race, but we've seen it in races previously where Kimi Räikkönen has made up ground because he's done one less stop than everybody else. So maybe he can do that here today. He started quite high up the field compared to the other championship contenders. But unfortunately, Kimi Räikkönen losing out ground at the start and just sort of gets boxed in by Nico Hülkenberg, and I believe that it's Lance Stroll ahead of him. And then he's got another driver on his right-hand side. He's trying to fend off as he goes through turn 2 and turn 3. The Toro Rosso still there on his right-hand side. So go down in towards the chicane of turn 4 and turn 5. And it looks like he gets the job done momentarily. But can the Toro Rosso come back at him on the inside? I believe this is Carlos Sainz on his right-hand side, which it is. And then round the inside, sorry, of the hairpin. I think Kimi Räikkönen does get the job done, which he does. Moves up into P14 after getting past Nico Hülkenberg as well in today's race. So a good start there from Kimi Räikkönen, even though the initial phase wasn't exactly the greatest, as we're now watching this battle unfold between Danny Kvyat and Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis Hamilton also needs to make up ground in today's race. The gap between Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton going into today's race and also at the moment is 16 points. So Lewis Hamilton needs to come second. That's all he needs to do. He needs to come second and hope that Sebastian Vettel doesn't score any points in today's race as well. So it's slightly easier for Lewis Hamilton, but he's sort of, at a bit of a disadvantage, whereas Kimi Räikkönen is a lot further up the field at the moment. So it looks like they're going side by side through the chicane. Little hop over the curb there from Danny Kvyat, but it looks like Lewis Hamilton has got the job done, as now Kimi Räikkönen goes 3 wide with Marcus Ericsson and Lance Stroll all the way down into this triple chicane. It looks like Kimi Räikkönen has got the job done, moving up into P11. Yes, he's hit every single apex through that corner, so I assume that he's got the job done, which he has on Lance Stroll and Marcus Ericsson, as Lance Stroll also overtakes the Sauber driver as well. Now we cut a little bit further in today's race, and this is Kimi Räikkönen battling with Fernando Alonso for 10th position. This is for points in today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So if Kimi Räikkönen can get past Alonso, he will be in the points here today. So here we go, following in the slipstream. Moving over to the left-hand side on Fernando Alonso. Of course, that McLaren lacking in straight line speed, under braking down in towards the first part of the chicane. It's still side by side between the two of them. Alonso hopping over the curb there, very nearly ending Kimi Räikkönen's race, but Räikkönen gets the job done, moves up into P10, and that is 1 championship point for himself at the moment. So he is doing exactly what he needs to do. He needs to work his way through the field, get up into the lead, and then he can win the championship. Okay, it is a very, very difficult task for him, but we've seen crazier things happen in this season. I've won a race in this season, so Kimi Räikkönen can surely go on to win today's race. We're watching this replay of Lewis Hamilton moving up into P15. I believe that is ahead of my teammate of Nico Hülkenberg. In fact, yes it is. So there he goes. That is how Lewis Hamilton moved up into P15. So just like Kimi Räikkönen working his way through the fields, we're now watching on board with Valtteri Bottas go on the attack for myself. Of course, he is not involved in a championship battle. He's just a little bit too far behind in terms of points this season. But Bottas moving over to the left-hand side. He's going to go side by side with myself down in towards this left hand. We're not going to fight him too much. There's no point, as he is in a Mercedes. And yeah, there's really no point battling a Mercedes at the end of the day, as we're now watching on board with Lewis Hamilton, who goes side by side with Marcus Ericsson. Now he moves up into P14. So Lewis Hamilton making his way through the field. He's not too far behind Kimi Räikkönen at the moment in today's race, but he is making up some pretty decent ground right now. So Lewis Hamilton now on the back of Fernando Alonso. This is the battle for 13th place. So Alonso has also been dropping back through the field, but Lewis Hamilton right to the tail now of Fernando Alonso as they go down in towards turn 1. Will he try up the inside? Yes, he does. Lewis Hamilton up the inside through turn 1 into turn 2, gets the job done, and there he goes, moving up into P13, doing exactly what he needs to do. Of course, he needs to finish in 2nd place or above in order to be crowned the Drivers' World Champion, and then hope that Sebastian Vettel doesn't score any points here today, as we're now watching this battle for 9th position unfold between Danny Kvyat and Kimi Räikkönen. So here goes Kimi Räikkönen on the back of Danny Kvyat at the moment to go down in towards the first chicane, using the DRS all the way down through this straight. He moves over to the left-hand side. It's side by side, I believe, between him and Danny Kvyat, which it is. Kimi Räikkönen momentarily ahead of Danny Kvyat, who comes back round at the outside of the first part of the chicane. We'll get the inside into the second part, bouncing over the curbs, and once again, Kimi Räikkönen very lucky to avoid a massive amount of contact through that corner. He moves up into P9 though. That's 2 points on board for the championship contender. Moves him a little bit closer to Sebastian Vettel's points tally. The gap at the moment between those two is 22 points right now. But cutting back to our own race, even though we've not really paid too much attention to my own race, it's been a bit of a quiet one so far, but we're now coming into the pits from P4 for today's race. So on this scheduled pit stop, there's a couple of other drivers coming into the pits as well, so we'll be hoping that we don't get held up too much. As Sergio Perez is also into the pits, but he's underway once more, and it's a 2.2 second stop there from the Renault pit crew. So that is a really decent stop at today's race. And underneath this really unique pit lane exit, underneath the track, through the tunnel, and then back out the other side as we come out in P18 for today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So we're quite a bit down the field, but there are a lot of drivers ahead of us still yet to make pit stops. So we're not too far behind Sergio Perez as well. So hopefully once all the pit stops sort themselves out, we should come out round about P3, P4 once again, depending on whether we can get past Sergio Perez or not. So P18 for ourselves at the moment as we try to hunt down the Force India driver Sergio Perez. We come through the final corner. A few drivers into the pits at the moment. We have Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo ahead of us as well. So those two guys still yet to break into the points right now. A couple of drivers though coming into the pits, and that should move us up into P11 for today's race. The yellow flag has come out, and who's that for? It's Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen is out of today's race. Disaster has struck for the Ferrari man, who was contending for the championship. He was doing such a great job of working his way through the field, and unfortunately it is all over for him in today's race and also for this year's season. Really unfortunate there for Kimi Räikkönen as we dart out the inside of Sergio Perez. He gives us a little bit of a gap there through the final corner, and that was enough for me to take it. I took that opportunity, I went up the inside, and now that pushes me up into P6 for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But really disappointing there for Kimi Räikkönen to be out of today's race. So really, it's only Lewis Hamilton who can catch up to Sebastian Vettel in this championship. And here we are on board with Lewis Hamilton. He's currently in the points at the moment in P10, now hunting down Kevin Magnussen for 9th position. He goes through the hairpin now, right on the tail of that Haas driver. He should be a fairly easy overtake for Lewis Hamilton all the way down these two DRS straights. Here we go, Lewis Hamilton on the first one, using DRS and slipstream to his advantage all the way down into his first chicane. He darts out the inside. It's going to be side by side between the two of them, but can he get the job done? Up the inside at the moment, we have the outside line through the second part, still side by side between these two drivers. Of course, if he does get the job done, that will put him on to 2 points so far for today's race, and he has got the job done now on Kevin Magnussen. He's going down in towards the triple chicane, but there's a huge lock up there for Lewis Hamilton. He's run it too deep into the corner, and unfortunately Kevin Magnussen has got the job done, and that is not what Lewis Hamilton needs to do. He needs to make sure he stays ahead of Kevin Magnussen, but there's a problem for Sebastian Vettel. He's going slowly in today's race. Is that an engine failure as well, like his teammate Kimi Räikkönen? No, I think it's just a puncher. Yes, it is. A front left puncher for Sebastian Vettel, and the championship continues to surprise us. Of course, Sebastian Vettel can still finish outside the points and win the Drivers' Championship. He just needs to make sure that Lewis Hamilton finishes in third or below. If that happens, then Sebastian Vettel will still be crowned the world champion for this season. We're watching this huge old train behind Nico Hülkenberg, my teammate at the moment. We've got Hülkenberg in 5th, Carlos Sainz in 6th, myself in 7th, Sergio Perez in 8th, then Romain Grosjean behind us in 9th as well. So it looks like Sergio Perez may go on the attack down in towards this left-hander, which he does. We've gone very deep, nearly into the back there of Carlos Sainz. That allows Perez to have a little look, and then we have a little look up the inside of Carlos Sainz. Not really too sure how that move came about. Carlos Sainz very slow out of the first chicane there, and it looks like we're going to get the job done. Sergio Perez might follow us through in towards this triple chicane. He's holding it around the outside, but he's locked up into that corner, and there we go, getting the job done on Carlos Sainz, holding on to P5 and now hunting down our teammate of Nico Hülkenberg. So making up some good ground in today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Of course, we would be looking to see whether we can get a top 5 finish in today's race. As Nico Hulkenberg pits from P4, so that's going to put me up into 4th position for today's race. And Lance Stroll also comes into the pits, so that moves me up onto the podium here today. Of course, we would love to finish on the podium as well, but I feel like with Lewis Hamilton pushing and Daniel Ricciardo not too far behind us either, both of those guys may be able to get past us in today's race. We're watching on board with Lewis Hamilton once again going on the attack of Kevin Magnussen. This time around, he'll be hoping to get the move stuck as he's battling for 6th position at the moment. If he can get past Kevin Magnussen, that will of course put him on 300 points for the season, and will put him only 8 points now behind Sebastian Vettel. So here goes Lewis Hamilton, and it looks like he might have got the job done on Kevin Magnussen as they go through the first chicane. I think he has just about, yes, he has got the job done now on Kevin Magnussen, but can he hold on to it, or will he lock up down into towards the triple chicane? He doesn't lock up this time around. He holds on to that position, and he moves up into P6 for today's race. That's 300 points on the board for this season, and he is now only 8 points behind the championship leader of Sebastian Vettel, as he's now putting Romain Grosjean under some pressure here today. So here we go, the battle for 5th position between Lewis Hamilton and Romain Grosjean down in towards the first part of this chicane. Here we go, on the left hand side, Lewis Hamilton up the inside in towards the chicane through the left and then through the right. A little bit of a lock up there from Lewis Hamilton. That gives Romain Grosjean the opportunity to come back at the Mercedes driver, but it looks like Lewis Hamilton has got the job done, which he does, and there he goes, moving up into P5 for today's race. That puts him on 10 points here today, which means he is at now only 6 points behind the championship leader. And of course, Lewis Hamilton has won more races than Sebastian Vettel this season. Vettel's only won 4 races. I think Lewis Hamilton may have won 6 or 7 so far this year. So if they do somehow manage to finish on exactly the same amount of points, then Lewis Hamilton will be crowned the Drivers' World Drivers' World Champion, as he now comes into the pits here for his second pit stop, I believe this is, in today's race, pitting from the Ultra Soft tyres and going onto a set of Super Soft. So will he be taking those all the way till the end of the race? A 2.6 second stop there from the Mercedes crew. Not quite as quick as ourselves in Renault. So that is quite interesting to see there from the Mercedes team, that that they're not quite as quick in terms of pit stops as the Renault pit crew. Of course, we did a 2.2 second stop earlier on in the race. So here we go, on board with Lewis Hamilton. Whereabouts has come out P16 for today's race, ahead of the 2 Sauber drivers of Pascal Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson. So that was really important, really important. They got out ahead of those 2 drivers. He has a little bit of clean air ahead of him, so now he's going to push on, try and catch up to the Toro Rosso ahead of him right now and see what he can do in today's race. Of course, he would like to get as many points as he possibly can. He's now right on the back of Danny Kvyat in today's race. So here is Lewis Hamilton on the back of Danny Kvyat and Stoffel Van Dorn battling for 13th position. Of course, these guys outside of the points in today's race. So looks like Lewis Hamilton at the moment not going to be scoring any points, but he has done the undercut here today, so will that help him get the job done? So he goes up the inside of both Danny Kvyat and Stoffel Van Dorn in towards the left-hander. Then the right has got the job done. Yes, he has. Moving up into P13, a double overtake there for Lewis Hamilton. That's really interesting to see here today. Of course, he needs to get past these guys as quickly as he possibly can to give himself as much free running, and that will really help him get the jump of the likes of myself, Sergio Perez, and any other drivers who are ahead of me who could possibly be doing the overcut here today. So here we go, cutting ahead to our own race on lap 18 at the moment. We go underneath the hotel section. I think we're going to be coming into the pits on this lap here today. So here we go through the penultimate corner, and yes, we are coming into the pits for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for our second and final pit stop here today, pitting from 3rd position in today's race. We are currently on the podium as we now come into the pits. Sergio Perez follows us in as well. So does Felipe Massa, I believe that is as well. So here we go. What sort of pit stop time are we looking for from the Renault crew? So we get the car serviced and done, and it's away we go once more, and it's a 2.3 second stop there from the Renault crew. So once again, a really quick pit stop there from the Renault team, and quicker indeed than the Mercedes as well. And it looks like we've got quite a bit of a jump there on Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez is nowhere to be seen as we come out of the pit lane, so it looks like that was a fantastic job from the Renault crew, and we are well ahead of everybody else right now, which gives us a little bit of free running, nobody to worry about on our tail, which means that we can push like hell and try and get past as many drivers as we possibly can. Unfortunately, though, Lewis Hamilton has done the overcut on us as he's now battling with Lance Stroll and Nico Hülkenberg for 7th position. Lewis Hamilton currently on 2 points as it stands in today's race. We've got a couple of drivers in the pits right now, so it's going to put Lewis Hamilton up a few more positions. There he goes, moving up a few more positions, and now battling for 4th place with Nico Hülkenberg and Lance Stroll. Dives up the inside down towards turn 1. Moves up into P5, and that is more points. So he's back onto 10 points at the moment for today's race. But now he'll be hunting down Nico Hülkenberg for P4. If he can get the job done on Nico Hülkenberg, that'll put him on 12 points, and that will put him only 4 points behind the championship leader of Sebastian Vettel. But of course, he does need to finish in P2 or above. If he fails to do that, then Sebastian Vettel will be crowned the world champion, regardless of where the Ferrari driver finishes. But he is right down at the back of the field right now, way down in P19, as Lewis Hamilton gets the overtake done on Nico Hülkenberg. A very, very simple move there on my teammate. Of course, those two aren't really compatible in terms of straight line speed. The Renault very, very slow in a straight line, like we saw with Valtteri Bottas on myself earlier on in the race. We're now watching Sebastian Vettel, and it looks like he's finally going to make his way up through the field. Of course, he struggled so much earlier on in the race, getting that punch, but he's now moved up into P18. Even though that's not any points at the moment, that could help him. He's got some free air ahead of him. He can push on. He's very, very quick in that Ferrari car, and he can certainly move up the field and maybe challenge with some more guys and possibly get into the points if he needed it. If Lewis Hamilton finishes in 2nd and Sebastian Vettel picks up a P9 or a P8, he will still win the Drivers' World Championship. As we're now watching on board with ourselves once more as we battle for P7 in today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. On the back of Carlos Sainz at the moment, 6 tenths behind the Toro Rosso driver as it stands right now. So here we go. On the back of Carlos Sainz, can we do anything down in towards this chicane? We've not made too many overtakes in today's race, but we're about to make one here today. Up the inside of Carlos Sainz, up the inside in towards the left-hander, and there we go, job done. Very late on the brakes there compared to the Toro Rosso driver, but we get the job done. We move up into P7, and now we can try to hunt down Lance Stroll and, of course, Nico Hülkenberg ahead of me in today's race, which will be really, really interesting to see whether we can get the job done on those guys. But here we go, battle for the podium. Lewis Hamilton versus Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, this is very, very important for Lewis Hamilton's championship hopes. He needs to get past Ricciardo as soon as possible. He dives up the inside, in towards the left hand. It's side by side between the two drivers through the right, but it looks like Lewis Hamilton's going to get a greater exit if he can. Yes, he does. And there he goes, moving up into P3 for today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That puts him on 15 points for today's race, and as it stands, there is only 1 point separating the two championship contenders. That is incredible stuff here today. If Lewis Hamilton can carry on this momentum, that'd be absolutely incredible, and he may be able to overtake Max Verstappen or Valtteri Bottas, who are ahead of him. Of course, he would like Valtteri Bottas to maybe hold off a little bit, back off, and give that position to Lewis Hamilton. But will he do that? I don't think so. I think he wants to go for this race win as he goes up the inside now of Max Verstappen, in towards the left and then the right. Very similar move to what his teammate just did on the other Red Bull driver, through the little kink of the left-hander, out to turn 2. And there we go, job done for Valtteri Bottas, who moves up into the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Fantastic news there for Valtteri Bottas, as there's an engine failure for my teammate Nico Hülkenberg. It is all kicking off. It is all kicking off in this finale of this first season of the career mode. Nico Hülkenberg now out of today's race. The virtual safety car has been deployed, and we have moved up another position. Just while the virtual safety car is out, let's take a look at the winning drivers so far in the season. So, of course, we had 4 different race winners in the first 4 races. Then Kimi Räikkönen became the first driver to win 2 races in the season, and who can forget that incredible win that we got back at the Monaco Grand Prix. So that was absolutely fantastic. Then Sebastian Vettel became the first driver to win back-to-back races. Then it was sort of a bit of a mix between Hamilton and Räikkönen from Austria all the way to Malaysia. Then Vettel finally won another race at the Japanese Grand Prix. And then recently we've seen Räikkönen, Bottas and Hamilton all win the recent races. We go in towards this left-hander now, right on the back of Lance Stroll, and the virtual safety car has come in, so which means we can go racing once more and try and hunt down Lance Stroll. So we're now watching this replay of Valtteri Bottas. So what happened to him? He's dropped down into P2. So somewhere Max Verstappen got back at him, and there we go, doing exactly the same thing that his teammate did earlier on in the race. Locks up down in towards the triple chicane, and unfortunately for him, that meant that Max Verstappen got the jump on and gets back up into the lead of today's race. And here we are on lap 25 of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas going for the overtake once more on Max Verstappen. Gets the job done before he's even got into this little chicane there, moving up into the lead of the race. And whilst these two battle, that does give Lewis Hamilton the opportunity to maybe catch up to him, but I feel like he's a little bit too far behind, and unfortunately he needs Valtteri Bottas to concede the race win and give Lewis Hamilton that second place. But I don't think that Valtteri Bottas is going to do that. Of course he is winning today's race at the moment. Why would he give up a winning position to help out his teammate? It all depends on whether Mercedes want to win the Drivers' Championship or not. They've lost the Constructors' Championship this season, so to win the Drivers' Championship would still mean something to them. So whether they tell Valtteri Bottas to do that or not, we'll just have to wait and see. As we're now going on the attack of Lance Stroll up the inside, down in towards the chicane. This is a really, really good overtaking opportunity, not just really for myself, but for everybody amongst the fields. We're now going side by side with Lance Stroll. Gave him enough room there through the right-hander. Still side by side. We have got DRS though on the Williams driver, all the way down into the triple chicane. He's squeezing me all the way over to the left-hand side and in towards this triple chicane. We've got the job done up the inside. No, we haven't. Still side by side between the two of us, but there we go. Finally getting the job done on Lance Stroll, moving up into P5 for today's race. And that was a really, really good battle with Lance Stroll. We've only got 3 laps remaining in today's race, so anything can still happen. And now there is a little bit of a train gathering behind us. We've got Lance Stroll in 6th, then it's the 2 Toro Rossos right on my tail as well. So here goes Lance Stroll, currently on the back of me, 3 tenths of a second behind me right now. So he moves over to the right-hand side. We'll go around the outside, down in towards the chicane. Very late on the brakes there from Lance Stroll. A little bit of contact between the two of us. Wheel-to-wheel action right there as we go for the switchback maneuver on Lance Stroll. A greater exit compared to the Williams driver, but he's got so much greater straight line speed that he may get the job done down in towards the triple chicane. But here we go on the right-hand side, using DRS to our advantage. Going to have to dive it around the outside in towards this corner. A little bit of a lock-up from ourselves. Go the inside line and then the outside line once again. Still side by side between the two of us, but Lance Stroll backs off through that corner. And backs off quite a bit, nearly a whole second behind me right now. So that was a lot of backing out there from Lance Stroll as we now hold on to P5 for today's race. But this race, it certainly is not over just yet. There is still a lot to happen as we move on to the final lap of today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We've got Lance Stroll right on my tail. Carlos Sainz not too far behind either. So there's only 3 tenths once more between the two of us, and Carlos Sainz only 5 tenths behind Lance Stroll as well. So he could easily get in this battle for P5 as we go through the turn 2 and turn 3 in towards the chicane of turn 4 and turn 5. Lance Stroll, what is the gap as we go through the first sector split? It's 1 tenth of a second, 1.5 tenths of a second right now in today's race. So Lance Stroll pushing so hard to try and get up into P5, but it's all been about this guy today. Valtteri Bottas, he started way down the field in a pretty awful position for today's race, but he's worked his way back through the field. He overtook Max Verstappen very late on, and it is going to be Valtteri Bottas who wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as Lance Stroll dives it around the outside in towards this chicane there. The action has not finished just yet for our own race. Lance Stroll very much on the attack, but it looks like we're going to get the job done on acceleration, but he's still there on the left-hand side. Lance Stroll, can he get the job done? No, he cannot, and unfortunately, Lance Stroll having to concede that position. But unfortunately for Lewis Hamilton, his late charge was too little too late at the end of the day, and he will not be crowned the Drivers' World Champion. The championship goes to Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel is our Season 1 World Champion here today. It's now confirmed as Lewis Hamilton came so close, but it was just too far at the end of the day. That 1 point separating those two drivers was just too much, and unfortunately for Lewis Hamilton, he will not be crowned the Drivers' World Champion. But our race is not over yet. We have Lance Stroll right on our tail. Also, Carlos Sainz there as well, including Esteban Ocon. We come through the final corner. We are going to hold on to P5. It's going to be P5 at the end of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. What a fantastic result here today. What an incredible way to end this season. The season finale did not disappoint here today. Valtteri Bottas is the race winner with Max Verstappen in second. Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately, finishes on the podium, so be happy about that, but he won't be happy that it wasn't enough to win the championship at the end of the day. Daniel Ricciardo finishes in 4th place, with myself in 5th. A really, really good race for myself. We started in P3, so we did drop a few positions from the start, but compared to the guys around us, that's sort of really the best result that we could have hoped for. You know, the best of the rest at the end of the day, so we are very, very happy with that. And that also means we do stay ahead of Esteban Ocon in the championship. Lance Stroll finishes in P6 with Carlos Sainz in 7th, and Esteban Ocon in 8th, Danny Kvyat in 9th, and Felipe Massa gets the final championship points here today. Roman Grosjean finishes just outside the points in P11 with Sergio Perez 12th and Kevin Magnussen in 13th. Looking further down the field then, and Fernando Alonso finishes in P14 with Pascal Wehrlein 15th. Stoffel Van Dorn finishes in 16th with Sebastian Vettel, the new world champion of Season 1, finishes way down in 17th place. Even though he didn't score any points here today, he is still going to be crowned the world champion. Marcus Ericsson finishes in 18th with Nico Hülkenberg, my teammate, unfortunately down in 19th position after a DNF, and the other DNF was the other championship contender. What could have been for Kimi Räikkönen at the end of the day? We don't know what strategy he was going for, probably going for the 2-stop strategy at the end of the day, but could he have done enough to win the championship? Unfortunately, we will just never know. So let's confirm the Drivers' Championship after 20 rounds of this amazing first season of career mode. And Sebastian Vettel is the Season 1 World Champion. His tally of 308 points beats Lewis Hamilton's tally of 307 by 1 championship point. There was only 1 point separating those two drivers at the end of the day. Very, very close between the two of them. Unfortunately for Kimi Räikkönen, his luck ran out in today's race. Unfortunately, he was nowhere near at the end of the day of Sebastian Vettel. So really unfortunate for him. Valtteri Bottas finishes the season in P4 in his first year for Mercedes, with Max Verstappen beating his teammate of Daniel Ricciardo in P5. We have been confirmed as P7 for this season. Absolutely incredible stuff for the Renault team. A team where we sort of expected maybe to be around P11, P10, where Nico Hülkenberg is. And we finish in P7 ahead of the Force Indias and ahead of both the Williams drivers as well. Great result for us. 103 points on board at the end of the day. Really good result, beating Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez as well. And there's my teammate Nico Hülkenberg just missing out on the top 10 at the end of the day. Unfortunately, Felipe Massa got enough points to move ahead of him. So Nico Hülkenberg finishes this season way down in P11. And finally, taking a look at the Constructors' standings, and unfortunately, that P5 at the end of the day was not enough to beat the Force India team. Unfortunately, they beat us by 4 points at the end of this season. Very, very close between the two teams. Unfortunately, we miss out on P4. But P5 for the Renault team is still a brilliant result. We beat the Williams and we beat the Toro Rossos and the Haas. Those teams were sort of the teams that we were battling with. Unfortunately, we don't beat the Force India team. We would have loved to beat them, but unfortunately that just wasn't the case here this season. But we're going to go again next season. Hopefully we can not only beat the Force India team, but also get closer to the Red Bulls as well. I'm not too sure whether we'll be able to beat the Red Bulls at the end of the day, but if we can get close to them, then that'll be an absolutely fantastic result for Season 2. But that's it for today's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Let's head back to the menus. So after today's race and after the end of the season, we've been given some additional resource points to spend at the end of the season. 1,858 resource points to spend, and that will add to our tally. And I think that puts us to about 3,000 something resource points to spend, which is quite a lot. Unfortunately, drawing the championship, not the championship rival, but our rivalry against Sergio Perez there, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it means we can go again and we can try and beat him. Looking at the reputation so far this season, unfortunately, we're still a number 2 driver. The team is very, very happy with us, and it looks like a few other teams are happy with us as well, including the McLarens and the Saubers, as well as Toro Rosso, so they might be interested in picking me up at the end of the day. So that marks the end of Season 1 as well. And the team are delighted to announce that my performance has been above and beyond their expectations. And we finished 7th in the Drivers' Championship, and me and Nico Hülkenberg managed to get 5th in the Constructors' Championship as well. And they look forward to progressing even further next season. So hopefully we can progress even further. Like I said, I've set the goal of maybe trying to get the definitely trying to get the Force India team, but maybe trying to get Red Bull as well. If we can get Red Bull at the end of the season, that'll be absolutely incredible.
How are you here? Are you happy? I mean, obviously, I hope so, but you do have some other options if you're up for a new challenge. Let me just grab the door. I had a call from another team a few weeks ago, and well, things have moved on since then. These are the offers I've managed to put together for you. You don't have to do anything with them, but let me know what you think.
So here we go, it's contract time once again at the end of this season, and I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. I'm really disappointed with the offers that I've been given. Even though I'm not really thinking about moving teams, I want to stay with Red Bull for at least 3 seasons in this career mode and maybe try and get them up into a championship winning team. But just to get offers from McLaren, Honda and Sauber, after getting up into P7 in the Drivers' Championship, winning a race as well in a Renault, and also getting P5 for the team as well. So a little bit unfortunate that the team not only want to make me first team driver, I'm still surprised that I'm a number 2 driver for the Renault team, so hopefully that will change in Season 2. But what we are going to do is we are going to be staying with Renault for another season, hopefully for 2 more seasons, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens in Season 2. But for now, we are staying with Renault for Season 2. So with that decided, it brings a close to Season 1 of this career mode. What an incredible season it has been. We've had some great results over the course of this season, and who can forget that race win that we got at the Monaco Grand Prix. Of course, if you have missed any episodes from this series, then you can catch up with the card annotation in the top right hand corner of your screens. There will be a playlist up there for you guys to go catch up on everything. But a big thank you to all of you guys who have supported me across this season. Your support means so much to me, and it's the only reason really why I stay motivated to keep on making these videos. So you guys are the main reason whilst you're getting so many career mode videos. Of course, the quantity of videos will be improving. Unfortunately, I've been lacking a little bit so far with the amount of career mode videos that I've been getting out for you guys, so those will be improving for Season 2 definitely, and you can definitely look forward to that. But that is it for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content, and don't forget to share this video with your friends as well. And I'll see you next time for the start of Season 2 of the F1 2017 career mode. But until then, it's goodbye from me.